It's not you, it's me. Have you heard that one before? It's not you, it's me. That famous breakup line, trying to awkwardly get out of a relationship. I mean, if I had a nickel for every time that line has been used on me, I'd probably have a nickel, or maybe a dime. But it's not you, it's me. Somehow that line, those words will soften the blow. That's what the speaker thinks, as if breaking up isn't going to cause pain, maybe rejection, the experience of loneliness, isolation. Saying the right words doesn't take away the hurt. And I've just been reflecting on where we are right now in Nova Scotia, in Canada, in the world, as we enter this here in Nova Scotia, anyways, this third lockdown. And you'd think by now we'd be pros at this. We know exactly what to do. But for me personally, and I'm surprised by this, but this one feels harder than all the others. And if I'm really honest, in these last couple weeks, I've struggled. And I say that to you, not because I'm looking for pity. I actually have a wonderful support network around me. But I say that if there's anybody watching right now who's struggling, I want you to know it's okay to not feel okay. It's okay if you're hurting. I want to give you permission to struggle. And I just would ask this, that you make the effort to reach out to someone else. They say a problem shared is a problem cut in half. And as we've been experiencing this, I know it's not exactly the same as going through a breakup, but words won't fix it, right? Saying the perfect thing, we still may experience hurt, pain of separation, isolation, loneliness. And I just heard of one parishioner, somebody who's been serving at this parish for a long time. This older gentleman, he has no family. He lives alone. His wife died, and he basically passes the time watching TV. And he said, if I can have one good conversation, it will get me to next week. And I suspect maybe there's others in our parish who are feeling this one harder than all the others. And I know that nothing I can say, there's no words, there's no trite one-liner, it's not you, it's me, somehow that would fix this. But I do want to acknowledge what you're feeling and want you to know that it's okay. What I do offer you is a one-liner from the gospel. And we're in the Gospel of John chapter 15. It's a line that I've gone back to again and again when times have been good, when times have been more challenging. Jesus is there at the Last Supper. He says, I am the true vine. You are the branches. My Father is the vine grower. And his main point is this, that Jesus is the vine. Well, if we're the branches, we got to stay connected to him. He's the source of life. And there's this one line in verse 16 where he says this, you did not choose me, but I chose you. As if to turn that breakup one-liner on his head, that, it's not you, it's me. No, Jesus says, you didn't choose me, but I'm the one who has chosen you. I desire you. I long for you. And that truth, it needs to penetrate not only our thick heads, but our frightened hearts. You see, when we're afraid, when we feel alone and isolated, we tend to want to protect ourselves. And maybe you've been feeling like you're approaching the breaking point. You just can't take it anymore. You don't feel like there's anybody on earth who understands what you're going through. And maybe that is true, but Jesus does. And he's with you. And he's saying, you didn't choose me. I am the one who has chosen you. You are chosen. You are loved. You are safe. And I just want you to claim that for yourself. If you would, just type right now into the comments, I am chosen. I am chosen as a way to say, yes, I believe, even though it feels hard right now, I know that Jesus has chosen me. I am chosen. And I want to shift gears a bit here because this one-liner from the Gospels, it actually has a part 2. And the part 2, in the same verse 16, Jesus then, after he says, you did not choose me, I chose you, he goes on to say this, and there's a really big and here, and I appointed you to go and bear fruits that will last. Now, just to define, when Jesus is talking about fruit, what he's talking about is lives, people's lives that have been transformed in his name. And so he's calling us to go and bear fruit. He's saying, first, I've chosen you, I love you for who you are, I desire you, and you got a job to do. You have been appointed to go and bear fruit that's going to last. I want you to type this now online. I'm making your fingers work today. I am chosen and appointed. Just type that. I am chosen and appointed, to acknowledge your dignity and what you've been called to. And by the way, this is not just something that Jesus says to individuals. He's saying it corporately to our parish, as if to say, Saint Benedict Parish, you didn't choose me. I'm the one who has chosen you. I desire you. I love you, Saint Benedict Parish. And I have appointed you, Saint Benedict, to go and bear fruit that will last. Now, one of the things that is so critical to bearing fruit, and we've been bearing fruit around here, praise God, we've been seeing lives transformed here through the work of our parish. One thing that is so necessary is the resources, and even the financial resources to do that. And that's why we're in this series called Life Giving. This is our third and final week where we've been talking about money and the call to be generous. And right off the bat, I want to say this. I know that this parish, that you are already incredibly generous, and I am so grateful for that. And I also want to acknowledge this, that in this time, maybe in this last year, there's some people, even people watching right now, you've experienced serious financial hardship. And so everything that I'm saying, it's not to make anybody feel pressured, it's not to make anybody feel guilty. We're talking about money simply because Jesus spoke about money quite a bit. Because our relationship with money impacts our relationship with Him. And especially when we cling to money, when we make it a bigger priority than it needs to be, it can get in the way. But what we found is when we are generous, it does something to us. It changes us. Generosity can be life-giving. And so, what I want to do is take a moment and celebrate the link between your generosity, what you have already given, and the impact that it's had here at this parish. And I hope that you've had the chance to read our Stewardship of Treasure magazine. If you haven't, you can download the PDF. Just go straight to stbenedict.ca/treasure. It's right there. It's filled with stories of individuals, of families that have been impacted by your giving. And I just want to point to a few things. This is a very abridged list of things that show the impact of your giving. So when the pandemic started over a year ago, we had to shift everything online. And one of the things that we moved online was Alpha, because Alpha, we know to be a place that bears fruit. Alpha is something that actually helps to transform lives for Jesus. And so at the start of 2020, we were in person, we shifted online, and throughout the year, we had a total of 240 people in Alpha, 167 exclusively online. That's about 70% of our Alpha was online this past year, and so many lives were impacted. I think of just one young man preparing to get married, and we asked everybody who's getting ready for marriage at our church to go through Alpha. And so one of the things he was struggling with as we were starting this is he's like, well, how am I supposed to love God the most? I mean, I'm supposed to love God even more than my fiance? Come on. And what he found was that actually, as he had a new experience of God on Alpha, he realized it is through loving God that I can truly love my future wife. And you may not realize it, but your giving is blessing future marriages. Another thing, we moved online were life groups, and we have so many people who have taken the step to form small Christian community here at our parish. This past year, we have 500 people in life groups, 200 that were brand new, that were starting life groups this past year. It's amazing. And I think not only of the local life groups, but even the international life groups. A few days ago, I heard about this group of women from Malaysia. They've been meeting. I didn't even know about this. We've been supporting a life group in Malaysia, and these women have continued to meet and grow and support each other, and they've recently made the decision they're going to launch an Alpha because they want to reach their friends for Jesus. I think of another life group that's international. We have a parishioner who lives in Sambro, just outside of Halifax, and he's been meeting with some people who have become friends from Mumbai and Dubai. And so when I think of all that's happening in India right now, it's personal for us. And we are praying. We have this direct link to what's happening. And I want you to know that your giving is helping to sustain these relationships that are helping people through the hard times. Another thing around here is we always want to be wise about how we steward your gifts. And so in consultation with the Finance Council this year, we made the decision to pay off our mortgage. So now in these uncertain financial times, we are debt-free. And I want to say thank you for your generosity to put us in this wonderful position so that we can keep using these means to focus on the mission. One of the things that we've really invested on this past year is right now what you're experiencing, our online Sunday experience, this online Mass. And we've poured so much into it because we know it's having an impact. And we hear regularly of people locally here in our community, people who feel alone and isolated, afraid, who look forward to Sunday, 9 a.m., can't wait to connect with us here in this Mass. It's a sign of hope. Just last night, I got an email from this family from Alberta, from Western Canada, who they were watching the CBC about a year ago. They heard about Saint Benedict Parish. They looked up our Mass online, and they've been watching us ever since. They're probably watching right now, in fact, and they said that they love the whole experience. It's having such an impact that they even remember a moment last summer when they were going through a particular trial, and it was a word, a message that was the exact thing that they needed to hear. God was speaking to them through our Sunday experience. You know, around here, when we celebrate the sacraments, we don't merely want to celebrate them validly. Of course we want to do that, but we want them to be fruitful. We want them to impact people's lives. We want there to be a change. And I think of this last Holy Week, the Easter Vigil, and just how powerful those days were together, that digital experience, both physical and digital. And there, in particular, I think of Donna, who was baptized this year. And I bet if I'd asked her ahead of time, hey, Donna, what's your theological explanation of the sacrament of baptism? I have no idea what she would have said. She might have been stumped. But after the Easter Vigil, we spoke to her and asked, what was your favorite part? And she said, when Father Simon poured water over my head. And I remember that moment distinctly. After I poured the water 3 times, she looked up and there was tears in her eyes. She said, it was like all of the bad stuff from my past life was washed away. I felt like a different person. That's fruit. That's what I'm talking about. A person's life who has been changed thanks in part to your generosity. I'm going to add one more, and Father Alex, he spoke about this last week. He did the big reveal. As we look forward, what's going to be the impact of your giving? We have decided together and in consultation with the Finance Council that we know that as a parish, as Saint Benedict Parish, we do not want to exist just for ourselves. We want to exist for the sake of others. And so we're going to make the commitment to start tithing. It's this biblical principle where we give 10%, that first 10%, back to God. And so as we're asking you to be generous, to make sacrifices, we're going to do the same thing as a parish. We want to give 10% of our regular income to those most in need, those who are chosen, those who are loved by God, individuals, families who are desperate. We want to have an impact. And so what that means for us, we're not going to be able to do it overnight, but our target is that we are going to give away $150,000 every year as a way to bless those who are most in need. And when we announced this last week, in these last 7 days, so many people have reached out, sharing how excited they are, how inspired they are. They've even increased their giving as a result. And we take that as a sign that, you know what, I think we're on the right track, that this is God moving us to take this step. It's scary, it's frightening, but it's an act of faith that we believe He's going to take care of us. You know, a couple weeks ago, I said a parish is like a family business. And I was asking you to see yourself as a co-owner in this family business. We're in this together. And all this fruit that I just mentioned, I mean, I think this is just the beginning. God is just getting started. He's got so much more that He wants us to do. He's calling us to go and bear fruit that will last. And if you're inspired by what's happening here, I'm going to ask you to invest in what God is doing. And I have 4 ways that you can respond, 4 ways that you can take a next step. See, wherever we are on this journey in terms of generosity, we can all take a next step to move forward. And so here they are. First is to start giving regularly. You can sign up for this thing we have. It's called automatic giving, where automatic withdrawals are taken from your bank account. That's what I use. It's easy, it's convenient, but most importantly, it's intentional. It's about making a decision ahead of time to say, I am going to give. It's part of our lifestyle. Another is you can switch to automatic giving. There's other people who give in many ways through credit cards online or through e-transfers or envelopes, and all of it's good. And we're grateful for all of it. But these other ways of giving have added costs. So to switch to automatic giving from another means might actually mean you're increasing your giving by 3%, because that is not being lost on cost, but it's having an impact directly on our mission. Another way is to respond is to increase your giving. And you might take some time to pray. Pray about any of these steps, but perhaps with a significant other to say, this is what we've been giving. God, what are you calling us to increase? How are you calling us to respond? And finally, to take the 90-day challenge to tithe 10% of your income. This is something we tried a couple of years ago. It's something that I personally did. I started tithing 10%. Father Alex does the same, to give to this parish directly. And we invited people to join us. About a dozen parishioners did take that step to join. And here's the promise, that if after 3 months you're either struggling financially or you find that there's been no impact on your spiritual life, then just let us know and we will give back all of your money. That's how confident we feel that tithing, it makes a difference for us. It's not about money, in fact, but it's about trust. It's about trusting God with our lives and making Jesus number one. And that is so life-giving. I'd like to share one more story with you from one of our parishioners, Omatola, who knows, as you listen to her story, she knows that she is chosen, and that she is appointed to go and bear fruit that will last. So let's go to that testimony now.
My name is Omotola Oweye. I came to Canada, I immigrated into Canada exactly 4 years ago. I landed on a Friday actually, and on a Saturday I asked someone around where the nearest church is. The person told me not to worry about church, that I should just try to settle in. I just came in. I had a long flight of about 26 hours, and I should just forget about church for now. But I was not comfortable with that because I'd always prayed to have a very good spiritual home when I relocated to Canada. So what I just did, I guess God directed me to ask Google. So I just went to Google Map, nearest Catholic church to me, and it took me to Saint Benedict's on the Sunday. We went to Saint Benedict's, and that was how I found myself in Saint Benedict's. I give to support God's work as a form of evangelization. I know that the church requires money to support the propagation of God's words, and it gives me so much joy when I give in form of tithes or offering that lives are being touched. I use automatic giving because I know that all my giving, every cent of my giving goes into the church. And also I don't have to stress myself to put money in envelope and struggle to go to church to give, especially during the pandemic lockdown, when nobody was practically going to church. Everything was virtual, so it was easy for me to give at that time. It's just an easy means of giving, basically. I also give as an act of faith. I remember when I first migrated into Canada, the first month I had not gotten a job, and people were saying that it's really difficult getting a job here in the year when I came in. But by the beginning of the second month, I prayed to God that I should get a good job so that I can start giving, and also giving my tithes once again, because I missed giving tithes for 1 month. And before I knew it, before the end of the second month that I landed in Canada, I got 2 amazing job offers, and I had a problem of choosing between the 2. So God really answered my prayers, and by the second month that I landed in Canada, I started giving my tithe again. I have experienced God's love in my life as a result of my giving. People also testify to this. I've had several people at different points in time telling me that, Omotola, God really loves you. Omotola, you are a special child of God. So based on that, it motivates me to always give.
Thank you so much, Omotola, for that beautiful witness. And thank you to all of the parishioners who have responded as she has, knowing that you are chosen and you are appointed. Now, I'm going to, as I said, invite you to invest right now. And here are the steps. As I ask you to take a next step, maybe it's to start giving regularly, to switch to automatic giving, to increase your giving, or to take the 90-day challenge to tithe 10% of your income. Now, you can go to our website to respond right now. And in fact, I'm going to ask you to open another tab. So just go to stbenedict.ca/Giving Sunday. We're going to give you a few minutes to respond, to choose how you are going to take a next step with regards to generosity. And as we do this, we're going to have a worship song just playing in the background, because let's stay in this space of prayer, because our giving is an act of worship.